inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Welcome in, everybody, to the second set today here of the Camelot Smite League. We have an Arthur Division matchup between the Royal Jesters and the Order of the Blight. I'm Dr. Shrew, joined by Call Me Nomad with Red Rosy Panda on the Spectator. Call Me, how are you doing today?
You know, it's been a pretty good day. Some rough patches getting our teams together for Order of the Blight, but otherwise been doing good. And these two teams seem to be wasting no time in these picks and bans.
Tiamat and Thor banned off right away. Seems pretty standard so far.
Yeah, I mean when Thor semi global ult in his kit, plus he's hitting really hard. Bluestone is still really strong. I can understand the ban. He does create a lot of chaos, especially for the back line. He could be anywhere on the map, ult up, and join the fight in half a second.
And that Tiamat, just with Tablet of Destinies being so dangerous, not something you want to see across from you in the mid lane.
Yeah, Ao Kwang and Fenrir following up as the next two bans. I mean, it seems like these teams are really just banning out the gods they feel like are just going to become problems if they get in the hands of someone else on the other team.
Fenrir, a little bit of an interesting ban, in my opinion, when there's so many other jungle picks still out there to worry about, like the Naja or the Mercury.
Well, I mean, you got to think about team comp. You also have to think about who the player on the enemy team is good with. If you know Mr. Sneaky or Tortuga is good with Fenrir, I really wouldn't want to give it to him because then they can kind of just definitely be a menace and cause a lot of issues for their team, letting them have someone they're insanely comfortable on.
Definitely. Speaking of comfort, Lake swapping to the solo position today as Underclass comes up from Merlin to fill in for the carry. It'll be interesting to see what Lake's comfortable on that opposite lane there.
Yeah, he started out. So we were just told that Jester's banned Surtur. That there isn't any picture for him yet, but they did ban Surtur with Maui coming in as the final ban from Order of the Blight. Man, Jesters were quick with their first pick, Merlin. I mean, he's not a bad pick. Does a lot of damage, burns objectives. He's good in sieges and anti sieges. Or I don't even know if I said that right, but you get what I mean. He's just good, really good for their team.
Definitely a pickup I like here. The siege defense from Merlin is just pretty much unparalleled with what he can do. But we got Guan Yu coming for, I would assume, Lake there on the Order of the Blight side. Solid solo pickup as well.
Yeah, I Lake originally played solo back when he was in a different league. I know he switched over to ADC and Bandit. He's been doing well, but it would be nice to see if he still has the same skill in solo that he used to. Cupid coming in as the second pickup for Order of the Blight. I mean, it already seems like their ideas big circles. Guan ult is a big circle, Cupid ult big circle. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of draft they go with. Are they going to get a Scylla or any of the other big circle gods?
Feels love from Cupid. Definitely a big team fight tool that they're gonna have access to once laning phase is over. But the Royal Jesters respond with Cucullin and Mercury, which are two super strong picks right now. I'm definitely liking the look of their draft, at least in the top three here.
Yeah, Cullen's really dominant in the solo lane right now. So seeing him on the Royal Justice side, kind of scary, honestly.
Morgan Le
He's just so
Fay.
strong in lane, especially with his anti heal on his one. He's transforming really fast. Mercury kind of farming in the early stages, but he'll hit, and his ult will definitely set up for his team. They're just moving really fast. Morgan Le Fay, the last pick from Order of the Blight, right into the bans. Kepri, Jingwei, Ymir.
But it
Seems
seems
like
like both teams definitely know what they have a game plan in mind with the speed at which they're going through this P and B phase.
yeah, I mean, there was some thought process in the early first three bands coming out of World Jesters, but it kind of seems like they know what they want. Daji making the last band for Royal Jesters. It's makes sense. Soy does have a nice Daji.
Boomba coming out here for Order of the Blight with the Jesters responding with a Hachiman. Interesting. Kumba just so annoying at all phases of the game with all the CC and setup that he has.
Yeah, he's his was it his little snooze that he puts on. He also has his root, and then he's got his ult. Like he's gonna cause a lot of issues, especially for someone like Merlin who doesn't have any kind of CC immunity in his kit. Really, once he gets the dash out of or the flicker out of Merlin, it's gonna be really hard for him to avoid the Kumbhakarna without wasting relics if his dodges are not on point.
Cthulhu getting hovered here, I would assume, for Riz God in the support role. I personally have not seen a whole lot of Cthulhu, and he actually goes to the Sobek, which, at least to me, makes a little more sense than the Cthulhu would have.
Yeah, Cthulhu has that guardian like role in the sense of he's classified as a guardian, but he's definitely more of a solo laner. His kit, you could argue it has the CC needed for being a support, but it just does better as a solo laner, being that frontline engager, being in the enemy team's face, and just kind of sowing chaos and making sure that the backline's not able to do what they do. I wouldn't really see Cthulhu doing well as
Luna.
a backliner.
100% agree. I think Sobek is a great support with his both his pluck and the knockup he has, being able to disrupt and set up for his backline. With Cleo here getting locked in as the last pick for the Order of the Blight, though. Very strong assassin. Definitely going to be able to roam the map fairly easily, being able to walk through walls and try to get some pressure going from that jungle position.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting seeing how these two teams go. You have Order of the Blight. They're what their draft makes it look like they want to fight. They're wanting that early game fights. They're wanting those fights around objectives and stuff like that. Whereas Jester's draft, I mean, it has the potentials. It has the potential to fight in those early games, but the later the game goes, it's going to be really hard for the Blight to be able to win it out because Mercury's just going to be swinging really hard every time he hits,
Yeah.
and Kleina is
Any,
going to be good, but this is going to be a close match, I think.
I agree. I feel like it's definitely going to come down to how this early game goes for the Order of the Blight. Because anytime you have a Merlin and a Mercury on the team, the later the game goes, I would say the better your odds are of winning that game.
Yeah, I mean, we're also getting a little lore matchup in mid lane with Merlin versus Morgan Le Fay.
That's very true.
A little Camelot lore matchup going on. So I think this set right here is going to be very interesting. Um, if Blight can work together and make sure they're on the same page when it comes to these team fights, I think they could really give the Jesters draft a run for their money. But Jester's draft, like you said, the later the game goes, Mercury and Merlin, they're just going to be hitting so hard.
I definitely want to see Order of the Blight get aggressive here in the early game. Once, uh, you know, people start hitting level 5, both Fields of Love from the Cupid and the Morgan Le Fay ult can just hit so hard at that spot in the game. I want to see them trying to take advantage of their uh, earlier power spikes over some of their counterparts on the Royal Jesters.
Yeah, I am definitely interested in seeing how the Jesters are able to transition from the early to the mid game. I'm interested to see how well they're able to maintain control if they are. Um, you have Helenu and Zarxith in mid for both teams, both of which are really good mid players. They're going to be, I feel like there's going to be either a lot of farming or
Both mid laners going for different builds. Telling you going for seeming like the standard, Sands of Time into Book of Toth, probably going into Tablet after that. But Zarxith actually going that Conduit Gem Chronos Pendant start that we've been seeing a little bit more often. I personally like the build when I play it, but we'll have to see which one works out better.
Yeah, I think with Hella's build, it's definitely nice on Merlin because he has so many abilities in the late game that he can switch out and use. Um, so grabbing that Sands of Time with the Book of Thoth, it's kind of like a standard. Nice pluck.
Art Bomb onto the Sobek, kind of making sure that they don't get too aggressive there at the tower line.
It's Underclass being a Merlin player, he's definitely got his work cut out for him. Plus, he usually plays jungle. I do not know if he can play ADC, so this is interesting to see him in this situation right now.
Well, he has his opportunity to show that he can flex to different roles here, even in the Arthur division. See what he can get done on this Cupid. As a bit of a fight maybe appearing around this silver buff here, both junglers just poking each other out. Cleo definitely having a bit of advantage over Mercury this early, but Mr. Sneaky actually getting pressure there, forcing the Cleo to back up as the Royal Jesters come over to make sure that the silver buff goes their way.
Yeah, it's a little hard for Cleo to try to sit there and make sure they get that silver buff, especially when Hachiman and Sobek are clearing the wave faster. So I think it was smart for him to just kind of back off a little bit and give them that buff so that way it didn't cost him his life.
Blake getting very poked out over there in solo, being forced under the tower, no mana, below half health. Cullen definitely has pressure.
Yeah, especially with the bluestone, that is not helping Cullen
Actually, Mr.
out.
Sneaky in a lot of trouble here, manages to get the dash off Mercury, God of Speed, just quick enough there to get out. But Cleo through the wall with the Banshee Wail. Maybe don't want to back that near wall when Slowest Clapper is on this Cleo here. First blood to the Order of the Blight.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for either team to really try to make those backs where they're a little less paying attention of who's able to do what and how they're able to get to you. And both Slowest Clapper and Sneaky are going to do a good job of capitalizing on what we just saw there, giving Blight the first kill.
Mr. Sneaky pulling the speed buff to red and almost dying in the PvE matchup. That would have been a very unfortunate start to the Mercury game, but he manages to survive with Helene's help there and just gets a quick back off.
Yeah, that aspect of this season, ever since I've returned, has been really interesting. Being able to pull these buffs to lane and stuff like that, not being stuck in just that circle. I think it's been really nice.
Yeah, it brings a whole lot of efficiency that you can add to your farming game, but as it definitely can also be a bit dangerous in these early levels because the buffs do a fair amount of damage.
Yeah, we're seeing like a small level lead here in duo, and I think that just goes to show the pressure right now that this Sobek and Hachiman have over Cupid and the Kumba, and I'm hoping that Underclass is able to kind of get some of that pressure back, especially when he gets his ult and he gets his first item on.
Slowest Clapper here on the gank, but Fields of Love out as well. Hachiman in a bit of trouble. Luckily, he has the ability to mount that horse and get out of dodge. But that pressure that they had there in duo just getting pushed back a little bit as the Order of the Blight squad try to help out their duo lane. I think as the game progresses a little bit further, that Share the Love, Cupid's second ability, able to heal up, is just going to allow them to stay in that lane and try to catch up here a bit easier with that extra sustain.
Yeah, seeing Sneaky and Ymir here just coming into this backline, or not backline, coming in and trying to invade this blue buff. It's really putting Blight here on kind of like a timer. If they hadn't had all three rotate, this would have been a fight over the blue buff for sure.
Luckily, they were able to get Oracle over from duo to make sure that that blue buff does go the way of Lake. Guan Yu fairly mana hungry, so beyond the experience, it's just very nice to have that buff around your belt.
Yeah, Guan is very mana hungry, especially against a Cullen who doesn't need his blue buff. He doesn't use mana. Also, Cullen going into that blue stone last start, he's going to be doing a lot more damage, being able to clear the buffs down faster. It would have been hard for Guan to contest that.
Riz God here starting the Prophetic Cloak up. Already got a couple stacks on there, but it looks like Oracle opting to just do the classic Thebes first item, not wanting to try and stack that Prophetic quite yet.
I feel like you could build prophetic. I cannot say it right. Prophetic and Thieves at either point because they're both stacking items, each one very specific. Thieves, you need 50 stacks. Prophetic, you need to have hit enemy gods with your ability in order for them to proc. So starting either or in the second or third spot, I think is pretty neutral when it comes to support right now.
Looks like there was a purple buff invade over there in duo by the Royal Jesters. Not sure if it was successful, but Mr. Sneaky and Mini both up there when the timer was up. So
I
Cuban
mean,
does have it around his belt, so he was able to make sure that got secured for him.
yeah, Under is playing really smart right now. He's definitely farming really well as we see the ult out of Xarxis and now Oracle.
Lots of abilities being used there for not a whole lot happening on either side, both just trying to make sure that nobody falls here. But as Mini actually gets aggressive, manages to get that kill onto Underclass, giving Order of the Blight the first kill of the day so far. Or first of their... Or, I'm sorry, giving Royal Jesters the first kill of the game so far.
Yeah, World Jester's got the fight in middle, and it didn't look like much, but having both Kumba and Morgan Le Fay's ults down while still having your Mercury ult, that's pretty strong and allows him to have a little bit of pressure over the Morgan. And obviously, it allowed Mini to uh, go in and solo underclass over in the duo lane. Just kind of showing that it's going to be pretty hard for underclass to really show off against Mini in the duo.
Ymir, in a 1v2 here, but it looks like he's the one who's wanting to get aggressive. Not any fear against this Cleo and Guan Yu, who are both below half under this tower.
Yeah, I mean, Guan's going to have a hard matchup because not only is Cullen going into this more bruiser start, he's also got anti-heal in his one.
Yep.
So it's gonna be a little hard for Lake to really find some ground until he gets to the team fights really, because Cullen already has the lead in his lane. Not really gonna be giving it up anytime soon. Both of them going in. You have Guan going into the Glad Shield now. You have Cullen going into probably Contagion at this point. It's gonna be a pretty stalemate. Ymir owns the lane type deal going on.
Bit of poking happening here in mid. Merlin trying to get the pullback onto Xarxis on that Le Fay there, but unable to. The Kumba ult actually coming out, trying to get the pick on the Sobek here, who has to lurk in the water and should be totally fine to get away. Quite a bit put in on him, but actually the ultimate from Merc here, unable to finish off that Morgan Le Fay, who's very low, having to use consuming power to get a bit of that lifesteal. Lots of abilities committed in mid without a pick, but it seems like the Royal Jesters might have the upper hand here, being able to pull the Pyromancer afterwards. Is Lake trying to get in to stop it? And Order of the Blight. Lake actually stealing it, getting out with the cavalry charge. Walks in, takes the Pyromancer, and walks out. Well done from this Order of the Blight solo laner today.
Yeah, that just kind of shows like what I was talking about. You know, he knew the lane was done for the most part. He's not really going to be able to fight into Cullen at this point. He heard the call. They're on Pyro. He rotates out. He has a lot of survivability with his ult, so really smart of him to try to go for that.
Yeah, if you know you're losing lane, you might as well rotate and try to get some advantages elsewhere, and that's exactly what he does. Mini definitely winning the 1v1 trades here against Underclass, using that Hachiman dash to get the stun for some quite big burst damage. Slow's Clapper did try to show face over here, but didn't seem to have an option. Just chooses to back up and continue farming.
You know, sometimes just showing face is enough. You know, maybe he just showed face to try to get Mini to back off of going through with that 1v1. Mini backed off. Underclass is able to back. He's able to get his item, heal, and come back. I think that's, you know, all he was really doing there. Or a nice thing is Slowest Clapper and Mini and Mr. Sneaky have been really rotating around this map. You know, they've both been from one side to the other to middle, Like there really hasn't been a lane that they have not tried to help or have helped in some way or shape so far in this match, and we're only 12 minutes in.
Definitely. You see that Mr. Sneaky was able to get that rage bot, so now he has that online. Definitely going to be wanting to look for some picks now to try and get that rage stack so he can start building up that crit chance. Once again, they're trying to get some pressure here on Ymir on this Cucullin. He's fighting back pretty well. Definitely taking a lot of damage, but he is turning it around as well. The transformation should run out soon here, and he does end up falling. Cucullin strong, but not able to stand toe-to-toe with both a Cleo and a Guan Yu.
Another fight already happening over at the Gold Fury. Oracle using his ult, really trying to escape. Good call from Royal Jesters though. 2 over in solo. Go grab Gold Fury.
Definitely good map awareness.
I mean, Lake even TP'd over from solo, so they tried to stop it, but once they realized the amount of CC that was being thrown at Kumbhakarna, Lake doesn't have his ult. Just smart overall for him to just kind of back off. Oracle was already dead. They're not going to get much out of his support where he just got an assist over at solo lane. So he's going to be worth a little bit.
Mr. Sneaky definitely doing quite a bit of counter jungling over here, but he might have been caught out of position, stepping a bit too far forward, and he does fall to underclass hero. Now Mini under a little bit of pressure. Should be just fine over there. I was just about to compliment Mr. Sneaky for constantly counter jungling on that duo side and making sure to not be out of position while doing so, and then he got just a little bit aggressive walking towards that low health Guan Yu by the tier 2 tower and paid the price for it.
Yeah, it is definitely enticing as a jungle when you see someone low and you're like, oh, I can get him. I could definitely get him. And then you just kind of overestimate it, especially with them having numbers over there against him. And this Cucullin just really trying to run down.
Definitely being a bit of a lane bully. Slowest Clapper is back here again, though, trying to help turn this around. Even the Kumba here, now it's a 3v1. Ymir does get some support from his team now, though, as the fight starts to break out a bit more. Cucullin able to get out for free. It doesn't look like anything more will happen, except for Lake actually blinking in on this Guan Yu. I didn't expect him to have the blink there, but nothing coming of it except for some positioning possibly around this Pyromancer for the Order of the Blight.
Yeah, I mean, this fight is just crazy because you would think that Order of the Blight would be on the back pedal, but they've been trying to initiate it multiple times. Royal Jester's just coming through and cleaning up.
So 2-for-1 for this trade here in around the Pyromancer, and Mini putting down underclass hero solo over there in the duo lane gets a giving Royal Jesters 3 kills and the Pyromancer for their troubles. An 8,500 gold lead for the Royal Jesters at the 16-minute mark is definitely working towards being quite oppressive against the Order of the Blight here.
Yeah, you got Mini in duo lane right now. He is just almost in a sense W keying his way forward down the lane. He's already cleared both towers. Then you have Mr. Sneaky. He has been all over the map, like we talked about earlier. You have Rizgod Richard. He has been basically behind Mr. Sneaky for the most part. So this team has been very grouped, very willing to fight, and it's just been paying out for them more than it has for Order of Blight.
Seems like they might have recognized the weakness that they could have had in the early game and decided to just bring numbers to everything instead as the fight starts to break out here in mid. The Cleo getting very low as lurking in the waters, looking to finish off the kill, and does manage to do so. Nothing else coming from that, but getting a the first death on Slowest Clapper here going to slow down this Cleo, who is already 3 levels behind.
Yeah, we're pulling the Oni Fury now. You have Hachiman level 18, Merlin's level 16, and a Mercury with his egg. They're just gonna melt it too fast. Lake trying to get some global XP for his team, taking down the tower. Just at this point, Order of the Blight's really got to try to farm and get what they can and make sure that the Royal Jesters don't steal away this FG, because with the level lead and the gold lead, they steal away FG, that could be just game right there.
Definitely. Looking at the builds here, as the Kumba gets plucked back but able to dash away. We got the Bloodforger on the Mercury, which tells me he is definitely going to focus out the backline carries of Order of the Blight. Not worried about trying to deal with the tanks at all, just get in and blow someone up, which is, I mean, pretty standard for a Mercury.
Yeah. Here comes the huge fight. Tier 2 Ymir, just literally just W King. Has to be stopped as this Colin.
Well, once this Kumba's down, that's a double kill for the Ymir on the Cullen. Should be a completely free tier 2. They don't even need Fire Giant to get some of these more neutrals, as they step up like they're going to siege this Phoenix. Fields of Love coming out from Underclass Hero just to try and slow them down, but they are burning the Phoenix. Who needs Fire Giant when you have this much of a gold lead?
Yeah, it's just really hard for Blight right now to come back. They have a really good engaging team, a team that's really good on sieging and pressuring out objectives. But when it comes to defending against the siege and stopping them from taking what your Phoenix and stuff like that, their team's gonna struggle a lot more than what Royal Jesters will, because their team is flexible both ways around.
Fire Giant definitely on the cards here. I imagine that the Royal Jesters kind of clean up the jungle, get as much gold in their pockets as they can, and then start getting ready for this dance. The Order of the Blight definitely have to step up and try to get some semblance of a defense here, because like you said, if they just give away this FG at the 20-minute mark for free, it's with the mid Phoenix already at half health, can't imagine the game goes well for them at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the Order of the Blight really only has 2 options right now. Either everyone shows face at this Fire Giant and you do some sort of defense on it so they don't get it, or Underclass and goes and farms his side. You may attempt to stop Fire Giant with 1, maybe 2 people, but other than that, everyone's just trying to get some farm, get ready for the defense that is unfortunately going to have to come. Because either way, I don't really see Order of the Blight right here able to pull off some sort of crazy steal on this Fire Giant.
Yeah, neither team really having that, like a classic secure that you would think about a mid, like a Kraken or a Searing Pain out of a Raw. I guess Consuming Power, ult out of the Morgan Le Fay, probably the best chance they have at a steal. But it's not like the Royal Jesters have much of secure either. Might turn into a 50-50 if Order of the Blight decide to step up here, but it doesn't look like they are. Ymir's zoning most of the team back there. The Royal Jesters do manage to secure the Fire Giant. Lake doing what he could to see if he couldn't steal it away, and he will pay for that attempt with his life.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, they sent Underclass to go farm. Everyone else is on full retreat. You got Kumba, you got cleanup, making sure their team's getting out safely. Now it's just time for the defense. Lake going out and trying to steal it is probably the best option, because Zarx just tried and then she died. It's almost over.
Both clean alls coming out trying to get some stuff done here as Fields 11 drops Doesn't look like Ymir on this Cullen cares too much to stand into it. He's taking absolutely 0 damage here. Mid Phoenix should go down, and it does. Royal Jester's looking like they're going to head right to clean up this tier 2 tower in the solo lane before continuing their siege.
Yeah, Royal Jester's looking really nice, but looking really clean. You know, Order of the Blight looked good with the first kill. After that, I mean, Mr. Sneaky has been really good with his ults and with his dashes. Helenu has been sending out all of his abilities, pumping out damage to at 13,000. Mini dominating his lane. Like they've just been looking really impressive out here tonight.
Definitely. Top of the damage charts. All the top 3 are all Royal Jesters, with Xerxes being the top on his team, but quite a bit below the top 3 there. As
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it's gonna be one of those games that, in order for Order of the Blight to come back, they're gonna really have to dig in.
almost gonna have to expect a mistake out of the Royal Jesters if they have a real shot, an overextension or an overstay, if they want a way into this. But the Royal Jesters have been playing very clean so far. I can't see anything like that happening.
Yeah, especially because we talked about it during the P's and B's. The longer this game goes, the better the Royal Jesters are, and not only is the game not going that long, but Royal Jesters are they're in full control.
Mini getting so aggressive, just one auto away from putting down Slowest Clapper, using that ultimate to try and get in there and just get a clean pick there. But Mr. Sneaky blinking over the wall into the base, just taking out his opposing jungler here, making him 2, 2, and 7. Still having that ultimate available for this left side Phoenix Siege as they start to get ready for that here. Fire Giant still around their waist, which means Mini is going to do quite a lot of damage to that Phoenix. Should not take too long for them to drop it here, as Kumba ulting the Cucullin, who was disrupting their backline there, but the bird goes down, and the Royal Jester's actually stepping up into the Titan room right now.
Yeah, like trying to cause some distraction in the backline, giving Ymir actually having him take some damage from that Titan. Otherwise, they have not really left this area. They are fully committing, it looks like, to this Titan.
Kumba passive, not enough to keep him alive as the Royal Jesters start putting damage down onto this Titan. It would have to be a miracle defense out of Order of the Blight for them to stop this, but Ymir kind of puts that to bed, dropping underclass hero. Royal Jesters take game 1 in this Arthur Division match.
Yeah, it was a good showing from Order of the Blight in the beginning. Definitely trying to show some form of life, but just after a while they couldn't hang on, and Royal Jesters were really able to pull away.
That game sort of just felt like the mini show. He took this Hachiman and just ran it down duo the entire time, ending at 7-0-4, just controlling the entire left side of the map.
Yeah, and it had to be really hard for underclass. He not only is he a Merlin pull up, but Hachiman's passive gives him back mana for every basic attack in his stacks, if I'm not mistaken, up to 5 times. On top of it, he has Death's Toll. He's got the sustain. He's not leaving lane unless he's forced to. So underclass not having that in his kit, in order for him to regain mana, someone's got to be taking his health pots. And
Mm-hmm.
with how aggressive Mini was being, he wasn't giving them to anyone else. He was taking them.
Yep. Yeah, underclass definitely. I feel like he did a good job. Not only, like you said, being pulled up from Merlin, but being off role, normally a jungler hopping into that carry position. He definitely gave it his all there. But Mini was just on point in game 1.
Yeah, Royal Jesters looked really clean. Ymir, he had the one fall in solo lane, but Royal Jesters, they heard it. They went straight for the Gold Fury. They got the Gold Fury, and then they got Oracle as another trophy. So they were just playing clean. They were playing smart. The comms were there. I I'm very very impressed with how this Royal Jesters Arthur division is looking right now.
Agreed, agreed. We'll have to see what the Order of the Blight decide to do in game number 2 to try and turn things around and extend us to a game number 3 in this set.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's it's definitely gonna be an uphill battle for Order of the Blight, not having all 5 of their members here. However, like I said, if they're able to they're able to really dig down, get in the trenches, and duke it out, they it, they have the chance to possibly win. You know, they got the first blood of this last match that we just watched. They drafted a really good comp, but Royal Jesters were just able to take it away.
Yeah, well, we will find out shortly once we move on to game 2. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back with picks and bans for game number 2 between the Royal Jesters and the Order of the Blight. And we are back with game number 2 here in the Arthur Division matchup. Order of the Blight in the first pick slot here this time with the Cucullin ban right out the gates, not wanting Ymir to have that again here in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, Cucullin was literally just running it. The god is really good right now, especially in the solo lane. And it's with the fire giant buff, he was able to just tank Phoenix for what almost ever is what it felt like.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was taking any damage during that final siege there.
No. Tiamat getting banned out from Royal Jesters again. Then we're coming back out of the Order of the Blight. I mean, Fenrir, Mr. Sneaky or Ymir must have one nasty Fenrir for them to continue to ban it.
I really must. I'm wondering if Order of the Blight do you respect ban the Hotch here after the performance Mini just gave? It's not something I would say is like a priority ban.
No, it's really hard when it comes to the ADC bans because ADC for a lot of players feels like a very rough role. Um, these teams giving us almost no time to talk. It seems like
Yeah,
on you, Searcher
flying.
getting banned, Thor getting first pick. Here comes the Merlin. Um, but yeah, it's hard to just respect ban everything because then you're still leaving up a lot of good picks.
Definitely.
Merlin.
I like this pick of the Merlin for Helenu again. I feel like he did great damage last game and just was able to do exactly what you want from your mid laner. So giving him that god once more, just trying to run it back, see if they can't get another dub. But Thor here for slowest clapper should be a bit more pressure once you get to that level 5 mark, and then late game if you can land that dunk and hit the wall, you just blow people up. I like this pick for the jungle here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Order of the Blight did really well when it meant moving around the map. So I feel like having this Thor, having maybe other high mobility gods, that might be what they need to do in order to sync out a win, take it to game 3 against the Royal
Luna.
Jesters, especially with them locking in this Cleana pick. Cleana's got a really good dash. It has a really good range on it. I think mobility is what Order of the Blight really has to focus on.
So would you want them to try to pick up stuff like the Athena here out of support? As I say that, Oracle locks in the Fafnir, proving anything I was about to say to be wrong. But the Freya for underclass
Freya.
hero getting locked in.
Yeah, I mean, this pick is a little worrisome for me, and I'm not speaking as the org owner in this sense. Speaking simply how the god is played. Freya is a late game god. You're counting on, oh, it's 30 minutes in. Freya's gonna win us the game. You know, especially with having a Fafnir as her support, really strong presence with the Freya.
So
Freya's
back.
not that strong in the early game and definitely is going to struggle against Cleo.
I definitely agree. Looks like they're banning out this Jing Wei, not wanting Mini to have something that is equivalent in that late game hyper carry sense. Jing's super autos with the 2 would definitely be able to keep up with what the Freya is doing, so they're trying to mitigate that for now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if it was me, and now I'm not an Arthur Division player, so understand maybe a difference in thought processes. But if it was me, I would have rather faced a Jingwei than a Hachiman because at least Jingwei has that rough early game because her abilities aren't doing that much damage to the wave, and she's mainly got to auto attack it to get it down. And her auto attacks are weak in the beginning stages of the game.
Yeah. There's a Hachiman hover for Mini for a second before now hovering this Danzaburo. The
Yeah.
Anubis has got to be a troll. right? Anubis carry is not a thing.
Mm, I think within the Semite community, it's an unwritten rule that Anubis goes everywhere just because of how strong he can be. You know, if they can't stop the Anubis snowball, then it's going to be a very quick game for Order of the Blight.
Do end up locking in the Danzaburo. Set getting locked in here. Now kind of throwing what I had thought this team comp might be for a loop. Are we thinking this is a set mid for Zarxith here?
I
Or
mean,
is
if it was a set mid, it would be a little weird because Zarxus didn't pick it.
didn't pick it, yeah.
But I mean, we could be wrong.
Could be. I mean, Set is another god that can go in quite a number of roles. I've seen Set mid, Set carry, Set solo, Set jungle.
Yeah, I mean, he's very versatile, so he definitely has that to his coming into this matchup. But at the same time, not having a traditional mage could also hurt.
It definitely could. I think I'm going to safely put my money on the fact that this set is not going to Oracle in the support role, and we will see him on the Fafnir. Very hot take, I know, but it's my take.
And here comes the Discordia. So I'm thinking it's definitely going to be
Discordia.
probably set jungle with
With
Thor
Thor
Soul.
solo, yeah, that
Yeah, it gives him a little bit of survivability. Lets him ult out if he needs to, or ult in if he needs to. And looks like the Goopus was not a joke.
could be looking for. What would this be? Goobus solo, Goobus jungle, putting Kleena in the support or in the solo lane.
It wouldn't be a bad pick. I
No,
mean, it would work, and Goobus walking all around the map, that would have me scared.
yeah,
Definitely
he
rank.
hits the wrap and you just kind of die. But it's the Hades that gets locked in instead, going to the solo lane for Ymir, and we see it is a Thor carry on the side of the Order of the Blight with Underclass Hero picking it up.
Or it might be underclass in solo. They might have switched it up.
Switched roles.
Because I
Yeah,
mean, Lake is the ADC for Order of the Blight, so
true.
they may have switched roles up. Lake may feel that he'd be better in carry, and as long as underclass is on a hero that he's comfortable, he could, stalemate or at least farm up in solo lane. 'Cause I mean,
Yeah, you have
Minis
to assume that he has a Thor in the God pool, being a jungler in Merlin division. So definitely would you would assume would be a comfort pick for him that he could just play in solo.
yeah, I mean, Mini's no joke, as we saw in the last game. He was able to really just W key at underclass and kind of just keep the pressure every time that underclass had someone rotate and break that pressure. He would just get it back. So having Lake over there to deal with Mini might be a little better.
Looking at these two drafts now that we have them all sorted out in our heads, who are you giving the advantage to going into this game too?
Honestly, as much as I want to say Order of the Blight because it is my organization, I just like the draft that Royal Jesters have. You have Merlin again, objective shredding, putting on the damage, long range, just kind of being a nuisance for the Order of the Blight. Sobek making a return, don't see why it wouldn't. Uh, Richard played really well on the Sobek game one. Mini now he's playing the Donsboro. Now he has a taunt in the middle of his kit. Like they have a very strong team comp centered around fighting as a group. So as much as Order of the Blight's draft is nice and it seems like it is going to work pretty well, it just seems like they're going to struggle if they're not able to break up the fights.
Actually, it looks like they put Underclass Hero in his normal role, letting him bring this Thor into the jungle, and then we have a set solo from Slowest Clapper who has switched to that solo position.
I
Kind
mean,
of makes sense to me if you're pulling up underclass from Merlin. He's just you want him to be comfortable so he can play his best game. So give him his role, let him pick a god that he likes, and work around that from there.
yeah, I mean, with the Hades coming in for Royal Jesters as their solo pick, I mean, what is going to stop the set from going full damage? Because, regardless if Hades goes full damage or builds hybrid for some reason, he's going to put out the damage numbers. So, set going full damage with maybe a couple bruiser items and this tainted, I'm not surprised of seeing underclass put in his jungle role because now you essentially have two junglers.
100%. Feel like Order of the Blight have a very good pick comp. The Set, the Freya, the Thor, all capable of just at different points throughout the game, depending on where they are in the build and power spikes, just able to completely blow someone up in a 1v1. So I imagine that Order of the Blight is going to look to try and get some cheeky ganks and 1v1 fights going, because I would definitely put that in their favor. We get some poking here in mid and duo.
Sorry about that. I had someone trying to call me, so I had to mute myself. But yeah, Order of the Blight, they are going to have to separate these team fights, like you said, into that pick oriented, because, like I said, Rose Jester's team is just centered around grouping up, fighting together as a unit.
Good whoop there from Lake to make sure that he gets out safely. Freya taking quite a bit of damage in that engagement. As you would expect, Freya's so late game centric, and Donza with that taunt. But actually, the Mr. Sneaky here on this Kleena, able to get the first blood, diving under the tier 1 tower. Get this Kleena off to a good start is exactly what Royal Jesters are looking to do here to try and put this set to bed right now.
Yeah, I mean, Royal Jesters, they just got to play the game how they play it, and this should open up and just let them continue to dominate in a sense like they did the last game. It's really going to come down to, is Order of the Blight able to make the adjustments it needs to make in order to actually stay in this match.
Attempted gank there, as actually the Fafnir of Oracle in quite a bit of trouble. Is he able to make it out? Good stun on to Mini there, but falling. That is a 0-2 start for the Order of the Blight. Not the start that they're looking for, but if they can just try to tread water for a little bit and look for that pick-centric playstyle, they're definitely nowhere near out of this game yet.
No, they just got to slow it down. They got to pump the brakes on the game, force Royals to not be able to get these kills. They got to remember that as much as they want Blake to have pressure in this dual lane, he's not going to have it over a with a Freya when he's facing a Donsboro who's using Bluestone as well. So not only is he hitting a little bit harder with his abilities, he's also having the tick damage from Bluestone come in. And once Lake's 2's done, he has to step up to that wave in order to clear it. So they just gotta slow it down, realize where they can and can't fight.
Seems like underclass on this Thor is prioritizing focusing both mid and solo over duo for now, which honestly I feel like is a pretty decent call in my opinion, because as we've been saying, not a lot of pressure, not a lot of kill potential coming out from an early game Freya and Fafnir together, so just let them farm up, try to slow it down like you said, get towards this mid game where they can start utilizing the pressure that Freya has once she gets like a Telkines online at least.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the build path that Royal Jesters is going, because regardless, Hades has lifesteal in his kit. Merlin is most likely going to pick up some form of lifesteal. Freya has lifesteal in her kit. She's also going to pick it up. There's a lot of Richard having lifesteal as well. Minnie's probably going to pick up an Aussie at some point, if not first item. So having this Fafnir is going to be really nice because they're going to have to avoid his ult, make sure that they're not getting the tick from when he transforms. And he's going to be able to get out of sticky situations where he would normally die.
Not being much of a Freya player myself, is Conduit Gem the sort of standard starter item for a Freya over there in Duo?
Freya does like this conduit gem because it builds the stacks when she's not actively.
Underclass
doing
hero in a
anything.
lot of trouble just getting up into that Thor ult and able to get away. That was almost further trouble from this Order of the Blight team, but he does manage to get out safely. Can the same be said about Lake over here, though? Just off the mark with some of those autos is Mini, but trading ult for ult, using the tower to get that rocket to blow up. Well played by Lake to make sure that he survives there.
Yeah, Freya, she does like the conduit gem. It gives her that extra little burst damage that she kind of needs to clear the wave, especially clearing the wave with Jester 2. As we saw in that last engagement, it was pretty even up until the point Lake's 2 went out. Because then he was no longer able to do those ranged attacks. He had to back off. His only choice was to get up close and personal, and you're not going to do that against a Dogsborough.
Good eyes from Rosie here, pointing out that Oracle decided not to finish the Thebes, instead heading into that magic protection tree with the enchanted Kusari. Interesting decision making. Why do you think he opted to get that extra magical defense before finishing the Thebes?
It could be a couple reasons. They could be talking about things in game, realizing that having Merlin, Sobek in mid with the option of this Hades rotating out anytime he wants. Having that magical protection would be nice. And then also, it could have been he didn't have the gold to get the rest of Thebes, so he just grabbed.
Zarksith in a bit of trouble here on the disco, not able to get out. The dash must have been on cooldown because that Disco's dash makes her so safe, but unable to get out of that lurking in the waters or away from the Merlin damage, falling there in the mid lane.
Well, she had actually used her dash, and Sobek ended up catching her and plucking her anyways. As we see Mini and Underclass trading each other, that's really good.
Mr. Sneaky able to get the kill onto Lake here on the Freya. Yeah, Mini and Underclass did trade before that, which is, I would say, a worthy trade from Underclass Hero to try and not allow Mini to get quite the start he got last time, at least putting one death on his slash line there. As the Gold Fury is getting kited around in a circle, Oracle does know about it, so Order of the Blight is not blind to it, but there's not much they can do to step up there with both jungle and carry getting dropped before that. Gold Fury heading the way of the Royal Jesters.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. Lake decided to try to sit there and lifesteal his way back into that health range he needed so he wouldn't die to the Cleo, and it didn't help because Cleo had the ult waiting and ended up giving them that opportunity they needed. I mean, even with the death onto Mini, Lake suffering a 2-level deficit. They're not out of the game, but it's starting to bridge towards that gap.
Bit of a jumping dance party in mid here. Classic support play. What we love to see. We do have the Telkines online for Lake now on the Freya, so even though he is a couple levels behind Mini, once Freya gets at least a single ring online, you always have to just kind of know in the back of your mind that it could be dangerous. Doesn't seem like Mini cares much though, as he forces the ultimate out of Lake. unperturbed. But the Thor dunk coming in, landing perfectly onto Mini, who goes down. What a bait from Lake there. Just setting up, knowing his jungler was going to show up, trusting Underclass to make that rotation, and they're able to put the Donza down for the second time this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good too, especially when Mini used his 2 on Donzaburo to drop that that little sake drink that he drops. It ruined his chance of really dropping it right before Thor lands to buy himself some time. They had all the time in the world to make sure they got that kill.
Thebes now completed for this for Oracle here on the Fafnir. Probably, I think I agree with what you said. Just wanting a little bit extra magic protection, and MP5 I believe comes with Enchanted Kusari. So just getting both of those online, now able to upgrade to that Spellbound one. So no harm, no foul. Already up to 20 stacks on the Thebes. An interesting build path, but one that seems to be working out just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Oracle could ult a couple times in these fights to kind of ensue a little chaos and get them off his teams. However, they may be planning for something, or he may not have had the mana, so going into that, Enchanted Kasari early, like you talked about, for the MP5, probably a smart move on his part.
Oracle did pick up the Frenzy, which is just a sort of standard relic pickup for a Fafnir when you ult and then can buff your team as well as popping the Frenzy. It just makes your objective shred unbelievably quick. I would not be surprised if they tried to sneak some objectives a little bit later in this game, even if it's just a pyro or a gold, or trying to sneak the actual fire. Just definitely a very strong play that they have, as Lake has to whoop Mini to make sure that he gets out safely there.
I mean, it's already looking like a little bit better of a game than it was last time. Once we were at this 11-minute mark last game, it was about an 8K gold lead. Now we're sitting at a little less than about 5, 6K. So, Order the Blight doing a lot better of staying in this game, making sure that they're able to transition into that mid game and late game a lot better. The roles have been reversed though, whereas last game it was Royal Jesters who had the longer this game goes, the better they are. Now it's Order the Blight. Can Order the
100%.
Blight keep themselves in the game to get to that point?
Royal Jesters, when it comes to late game scaling, have that Merlin, but that's pretty much it when it comes to what you think of as like a a later game hyper carry, where Set and Freya both, once they get some items online, are a force to be reckoned with. And then even Fafnir with that coerce of his second ability, like I said, just able to buff that team in dances around objectives or just straight team fights on sieges. They definitely have the advantage the longer this game goes.
Yeah, I mean, players on Order the Blight, they're not playing bad. This isn't a game of, oh, these players are just not able to compete in this division. It's literally just World Jesters seem to have that team synergy that Order the Blight seems to be lacking. Because these ganks they've been doing, these kills they're getting all over the map, it seems like there's a lot of talking going on and a lot less like, hey, I'm coming.
Order of the Blight trying to turn around some damage after Elenu forced back by Underclass Hero. Fight still going on in mid here as Oracle gets plucked back in, able to jump away with that underhanded tactics. Lake did fall in left lane there before that engagement came out in mid. Actually, this set in quite a bit of trouble now. Slows Clapper, falls to Mr. Sneaky. This Kleena now 4-0. As we finally do see an ult from Oracle, but he's extremely low and is forced to back up right away. not getting much value out of that Draconic Corruption, as it's a fairly free and clean, easy Primal Fury here for the Royal Jesters.
Yeah, and we're really seeing this higher level of gameplay out of Royal Jesters. They go into mid, they get a kill over in dual lane. They force a lot of ults and a lot of safety out of Order of the Blight. As soon as they know that that fight is over, straight to Gold Fury, turn and burn that Gold Fury, get the extra gold, keep it pushing.
Mini, the only one to have dropped so far this game for the Royal Jesters. 2 deaths for him, but he is still 2 levels up on this Freya. Actually in a bit of trouble now, trying to see if he can't turn it around. He's winning the fight in a 1v2 versus Lake and Oracle here. Freya ult coming out as the whoop goes up. Mini definitely in a bit of trouble, trying to get out of there, getting the taunt onto Lake. Is he going to turn around a kill in a 1v2? Misses the last auto that might have gotten the job done. Falls for the 3rd time. Still has a 1-level lead though, but very important there for Order of the Blight to continue to slow him down.
Yeah, I mean, normally in this situation, you would be praising Mini like you just did. 1v2 almost took out one of them. Definitely didn't look like he was um, in any way out of that fight. However, keeping this Freya from being too far behind this Danzaburo is really good for Order of the Blight as well, because it still allows them to lean and hope that Lake can get this Freya out of this early stage of the game and into a more dominant phase.
Royal Jesters, big grouping here around this Pyromancer, trying to get it burned down. Ymir on this Hades doing the zoning that he needs to make sure that they secure the Pyromancer, pick up the 2nd runic bomb that they now have, which will allow them to push down a tower with relative ease. They could save it to try and blow up a fire giant, since they have a good amount of burn but not a ton of secure, if that's what they wanted. Having 2 of those bombs definitely going to be useful here in the future.
Yeah, Lake showing up with Thor to make sure they don't siege this T1 out down in mid. Really smart. His T1's already down. He knows he's got to let Danzaburo clear out the wave so it will crash down farther so he can safely farm it. And so he shows up mid, make sure they're okay. Overall, just a really smart play.
Looks like Rizgod did step up and put a bomb on that mid T1, and it survived with a sliver of HP, unable to drop it for now. But it won't. That a soft wind will blow that T1 tower down, so they're not going to be worried about having to siege into that.
Yeah, no, I think Riz did the right thing there. He put T1 into a priority range. Ult coming out. Here comes the ult out of Lake. This fight is just turning into a madhouse.
Mr. Sneaky putting down Lake there. Oracle falling as well in that Draconic Corruption. Mr. Sneaky also dropping the Thor on from Underclass Hero. Mini spam laughing there onto the Merlin player who's come up to Arthur just trying to help out his team, as a 3-for-none fight in duo will allow them to easily get this tier 2 tower. Gold Fury coming up soon. You assume they were going to back up and just grab that Oni Fury.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the smart play puts pressure. They got both T1, T2 down again in dual lane. Allows them to get this Oni Fury and just set up for Fire Giant, or even follow the Oni Fury waves down and try to get a Phoenix or the other tower.
Should be a completely free Oni Fury here. Lake the closest one, but there's no way he steps up to try and stop this Oni Fury. I want to see Order of the Blight just kind of get ready, because you have to assume that the Royal Jesters, like you said, are going to head over to take this Fire Giant here, pushing the 19-minute mark. And while it might not necessarily be a game-ending Fire Giant, it's not something you want to give up for free. It'll allow them to sweep the remaining towers, maybe even push a Phoenix. So I want to see Order of the Blight step up and at least show face with 1 or 2 members in that Fire Giant pit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, unlike last game where they had to have underclass go and actually farm so that way he could stay in the game, the best bet would be to leave Freya to farm because the quicker she gets to level 20, the quicker that timer starts for them saying, "Oh, the game's gonna be over in X amount of time."
Blake actually stepping up, getting aggressive, trading out ults, knowing that Oracle was going to be there. They are, as you said, two of them right now just pushing out that dual lane, getting some gold from those bastions, just trying to get this Freya up to a point where she can teamfight a little better. Having Telkines and Hasten is going to help her, but Mr. Sneaky diving in here on Shadow, sorry, not Shadow, on Slowest Clapper, getting him pretty low. Set does have a decent amount of healing in that ultimate if he chose to use it, but that tier 1 going down very easily as many drops to the Freya over in duo. That's 2 kills now for this Freya who's level 17, and as we've been saying, we're getting closer and closer to the point where this Freya, it won't matter that the team is behind. If the Freya can catch up, she can turn these team fights by herself.
Yeah, and it's really smart having this Fafnir too, because Fafnir being 2 kills down, really being bullied for his lack of survivability. Staying over in this dual lane with the Freya has allowed him to get some XP, get some levels. Do not back there, please.
Very dangerous back out of both members here, whooping this Hades, but the chase is still on as 4 members are in duo. Lake and Oracle overstaying their welcome, back in a risky place. Lake paying for it with his life. Oracle might be able to get out, but dropping the Freya when it was just looking like that might be turning around. Oracle not able to make it out either. Not the best decision making to back right there near the purple buff.
Yeah, I think once you see that Royal Jester sent so many members of the team to stop you guys from getting that T2, you don't just walk away and then back a little bit. You you walk all the way back. You get into a safe area.
Underclass hero just off the mark with the dunk, but does land the wall, forcing the beads out of Mr. Sneaky, turning around some damage back onto this Thor as the set tries to put down the Donza here, excuse me. Mr. Sneaky able to drop the set though. Underclass hero falling to Mr. Sneaky. Definitely a lot back and forth going on in that fight, but ended up in favor of Royal Jesters in a 1-for-2 trade, losing their carry for both solo and jungle.
And not many, but Mr. Sneaky being definitely one of the strong junglers in Arthur division. Underclass hero able to kind of juke out some of his abilities and juke out some of those basic attacks. Really able to underclass to get that kill onto Mini, who was slowest clapper and underclass's target in the fight. So pretty impressive play coming out of underclass. He's definitely not just here to fill the spot. He's trying to show out and show that he can compete with these guys. That he is not the weakest link causing Order the Blight to lose.
100%. I mean, 3-3 on this Thor so far is definitely not a laughable slash line. He's been around the map. He's been trying to get pressure with those ultimates and positioning well as best as he can. It looks like Slowest Clapper falling again on the set. Now 0-3, which should open the door pretty wide for Royal Jesters to step up to this Fire Giant here. Beads getting forced out of Ymir, and will he fall on this Hades? Sobek stepping up to try and peel for his solo laner, but unable to. Lake dropping that kill there, or getting that kill there, as now more Order of the Blight members are in trouble. Lake falling on this Freya. Big Thor dunk, though, out of Underclass hero as the damage just turns around, but Mr. Sneaky too strong on this Cleo. Now 12-0-2 with a triple kill, a 4-for-1 trade in favor of the Royal Jesters for what will be one of the freest Fire Giants of their lives.
Yeah, it's definitely hard going into that fight. They took out Ymir finally, like using his ult to kill him. But at the same token, once you get rid of Freya's ult, that's a lot of her survivability in these team fights. So it was really easy call for Royal Jesters hey, go in. We're all full health. A lot of us still have our ults. Just go in. So back, pluck someone. Let's start killing them.
That they did. 24 minutes into this game, Royal Jesters now have a Fire Giant with only one tower remaining on the map there, that T2 in mid. Most of the Royal Jesters teams here hitting level 20. Minion shouldn't be far off, just gets it there on that green buff. So starters can now all be upgraded, which looks like they all have been. And it should be quite a bit of a power spike for the Royal Jesters as they prepare for this siege against the Order of the Blight. What do you think? What is Order of the Blight's path back into this? What do they need to do on this siege defense to be able to turn this game around?
Unfortunately, Royal Jester's comp doesn't really allow them to let a player go and farm to catch back up because ooh,
Mr. Sneaky all over this slowest clapper and actually puts down the Order of the Blight solo laner who was up by the Royal Jester's purple buff there, just trying to farm up.
yeah, I mean that's the issue is now that Slowest Clapper's gone, this is gonna be a very hard defense for Order of the Blight. They have the enemy teams have Hades, they have a Sobek, they have Donsboro, they have a Merlin. They have a really good siege comp. Hades having lifesteal, Sobek having lifesteal, Merlin pumping out all that damage. It's just gonna be really hard for Order of the Blight to actually be able to defend this without losing a lot.
It's like a 4-1 split here with Mr. Sneaky working on that left Phoenix all by himself. Underclass hero up into the sky with the Thor. Lands onto Mr. Sneaky, who just does still manage to confirm that Phoenix and turn around a kill. As at the same time, Slowest Clapper able to finally put Mr. Sneaky down for the first time this game. Meanwhile, the rest of the fight not going in the Order of the Blight's favor whatsoever. 3 down as the Royal Jesters step into the Titan room, trying to see if they can put this game to bed right now. It's up to Zarxith and Slowest Clapper here to try and get some work done, but the Titan is dying so quick, it looks like it will be a Royal Jesters 2-0 here with a quite convincing game 2 going their way.
Yeah, Order of the Blight, they drafted a team comp more their play style, trying to be more aggressive in that nature, but Royal Jesters matching the aggressiveness, matching their play style, and honestly just playing a little bit better than they did really sealed the fate of this match.
Order of the Blight, I mean, having to bring up a sub from Merlin and moving roles around in the set itself is definitely hard. You can tell that they were doing everything they could to try and keep themselves in that game, but it's an unfortunate situation to be in. And the Royal Jesters move into being 4-0 now in the Arthur division with that set win.
Yeah, I mean, or the Blight, like you said, they had a lot of things going on that they had to deal with as a team. They still came out, they still played, gave it what they could, fought when they could, and tried to keep themselves in the game. Underclass Hero doing exceptionally well, even on this Thor, going 3-5-2. You know, they did what they could with what they had. Uh, wish it could have been better, but you know, hats off to Royal Jesters. They played really well. Helenu looking amazing on this. Merlin, Sneaky, obviously showing why he's one of the better junglers in Arthur division. And Ymir, he honestly he was just doing what he wanted when he wanted to.
100%. Both games, Ymir just kind of W keyed the whole time without fear. And then the Jesters just kind of swapped their hyper carry from Mini in game 1 on that Hachiman to Kleena in game 2 with Mr. Sneaky going 14-1-2. Absolutely incredible to see Royal Jesters looking very clean in both games.
Yeah, Helenu definitely has a really strong team with this Royal Jesters, and I'm glad I was able to watch them play today because they looked in sync. Like there was nothing didn't look like there was many calls being made without the whole team aware of what was going on.
Definitely. And I mean, can you ask for a better support slash line out of Rizgod than 0, and 14? That's exactly what you want out of your support. Just always in the right position. He was landing so many plucks. Great, great work out of him.
Yeah, Richard played really well using his ult as slowing down Order of the Blight members, plucking them into 3 to 4 members of his team, body blocking a lot of the time, stopping them from getting away. He came out. It looked like he wanted this win. He didn't want to see Royal Jesters take a L here, so he came out. He played with everything he had. Really helped to propel his team to that victory, making sure that all of them were safe, all of them had their picks, and making sure that the team was able to do what they wanted to do.
All in all, there's a good set out of both teams. Like we said, Order of the Blight doing pretty well for the added challenges sort of out of lobby that they were trying to work through, and then just Royal Jesters being very clean in both games, working together as a unit extremely well.
Yeah, this match, I don't think Royal Jesters could have asked for anything more out of this match.
Should keep them at the top of the Arthur standings, if I'm not mistaken, is the word I'm
Yeah,
looking for.
they definitely are showing why they are the team to this season for Camelot.
That should do it here for us in set number 2. Royal Jesters taking the 2-0 victory over the Order of the Blight. And in a bit, we have a Merlin Division game coming up after this between Vibe Tribe and Going Ghost. Thanks, everybody, so much for tuning in and hanging out. I've been Dr. Shrew with Nomad and Rosie on production.
Have a good night.